Well, let me say hello on behalf of the board of Anam. I'm having to switch hats. You guys know how that goes every once in a while. And in fact, as the chairman, this is the first time I've ever had to do a presentation on behalf of Anam. This is normally the job of the director. And I'll just kind of quickly bring you all up to speed. We started a process many years ago, talking through transition, which we were talking about this morning, looking for, I hesitate to say it this way because we would purposely not say it this way, and that is to find a replacement for Doug. But we had to constantly remind ourselves we're not looking for a replacement for Doug. We're looking for the executive director for Anam. Doug and Faith, they can't be replaced, but we began to look at the qualities and things that were important to us for who would succeed him, you know. And it's a very challenging, very difficult process to find someone who can work with other leaders of organizations to give them the encouragement and accountability and type of thing that we've expected from someone in a role like this. This is kind of in some regards, a person. All of us have people in our life that we can talk shop with in ministry. At least you should. If you don't, you should, because it's nice to have somebody that's outside of the circle for you to be able to talk things through. And it's exactly why Anam exists. People from within other similar organizations, very few are actually doing exactly the same thing. And sometimes it's good because they can kind of see things that you don't see from the outside into your ministry, and you can take, the good and you can leave some of the bad. But to find someone that's qualified to be able to do that can be a challenge. Officially, we had found a replacement for Doug, and we started in the process of that replacement. And then about probably 6 months into it, this gentleman who was more than qualified to do this job, more than eager, very excited to do it, just found himself in a financial situation. He had thought he had a position within a job that would allow him the flexibility to lead this until he got to the point where he could fully support a family, which he had a relatively young family for, but no support. And so he was starting from scratch. That meant this business was going to have to subsidize him. And when that business fell through, he found himself in a world of hurt. So we understood the situation, but it started us back literally at square one. We had exhausted from within the Anam community the people that we thought we would try to pursue, and we knew that if we stepped outside of Anam, the learning curve would be significant. Anam is a unique thing, and I don't need to tell any of you anything about that, even though I'm going to talk through Anam in a moment. But finding exactly the right person was going to be a challenge. Someone with a lot of experience of dealing with people at the top level of organizations. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time because we officially haven't named somebody yet, okay? And because this person is a couple of years from being able to really full-time take over this role, we decided we weren't in a hurry to go through the process of naming and then voting, because we can just do that in our normal board and annual meetings since we had plenty of time. But this individual is very and firmly committed, and we have already started meeting monthly. This is a challenging time to find ourselves in this situation because it means we have, in the situation of me being the chairman of the board, which I may or may not have mentioned, when you don't have an executive director, okay, because someone has to keep things going, and I already have a full-time job. But thankfully, in the last year and a half, we have worked with all of the committee chairs and other board members and have been working to kind of carry a lot of the load, but still at the end of the day, someone had to lead. And there were a lot of things, a lot of details, almost reminder things. I call the executive director job in some regards as like a air traffic controller, you know, coordinating all of the different things that committees are doing and making sure they're getting done. And so somewhere probably, I guess, about 8-9 months ago when Randy was the chairman, I said to Randy, I said, there's a guy that's on our board, he's new, but it seems like he's volunteering for a lot of stuff. And I'm like, I think he might have a little extra time. He might be able to give us. And so we talked to Tim Challey. Some of you know Tim Challey. Tim Challey is the director of Rocky Southeast Bible Churches and oversees about, I think they have about 6-8 churches right now that they're overseeing, where they have some of their church planners trying to revitalize some of these churches. And we just approached him, we said, would you be willing in an interim capacity to be able to oversee some of these responsibilities? And so he graciously agreed, but once again, he's one of the newer guys to the board, so he's taken a little bit of training to kind of get up to speed of even what Anam is. And so it has involved the chairman position a little bit more than maybe either Randy or I had hoped or anticipated, but it is what it is. And I will tell you the exciting thing, when we had our last board meeting and the annual meeting, one of the things that Randy commented on that the board was in full agreement with was that A&M is doing pretty well. It's doing pretty well for not having a director. And part of it is because we were led in A&M by a very strong board, people who have experience leading other ministries. And so I wanted to share that with you. The gentleman's name, his name is Bob Bardwell. And Bob Bardwell is the administrator of a school district and a member of Liberty Bible Chapel, which is, what is his name? Tom Zobers. Some of you have heard that name, Tom Zobers. He's the chairman of the IFCA board. So he's a member of his church. He's got a lot of experience in ministry. He's got a lot of experience in missions. Got a lot of experience in administration. He's an administrator of administrators.
And the missions chairman.
And the missions chairman. He's not that anymore, but he has been the missions chairman in the past. And so anyway, so he is a guy that is of top caliber. He doesn't, when he retires in a couple of years, he doesn't need any support. We have challenged him and said, if you're going to understand what we do, you ought to raise some support. Because that's the reality, right, of people that are in our like-minded A&M ministries. So you ought to have a little bit of experience in understanding that, and really to fully, develop the ministry as much as we need to. It'd be a good idea for you to have the ministry funds to be able to have some flexibility. So anyway, he has begun, both Tim and he and I. Now, he is really not ramping up any responsibility because right now it's exposure. It's helping him understand who Anam is, what we're trying to do, and just letting him understand, just like we're talking, except for a longer period of time, where he's just kind of being a sponge. He's getting to know the member missions. He's getting to know who Anam is, how we operate. He was there for the annual meeting, so some of you that were there met him. Nice guy, really good head on his shoulders. At the time, he said he needed to go back and have some conversations with his wife now that he understood it, and that since has happened, and we have met with him as the chairman, and Tim and I have met together with he and his wife, and she's fully on board. They're ready to head in this direction when he's ready to retire. So that's where things are. I thought there might be, some questions because you guys knew probably last year this time we had a new director. Trust me, the last thing I wanted to have to do again was be on the search committee. In fact, it was funny, by the time we were on the process of starting this candidate search, we already had a candidate. And so we were kind of like, well, We never really disbanded. It was the assumption that we disbanded the search committee, so I'm like, I guess I can take it back over again. It's a lot easier when you have a name to work with. So we took him through the process, and of course we were all pleased with him. All of the board members were certainly sure that he was our man, and so we thank God, and it's going to be a little bit of time. In fact, I really see this as somewhat of a blessing, because it gives us a lot of time to let him get on board before he has to jump in both feet. I don't know, a lot of you guys, one of the things that we've discovered in ministry is it's no fun to jump in with both feet and not have enough, background, not enough experience, not enough knowledge. It is a very challenging way to inherit a ministry. And so some of us have been fortunate to have a little bit more time in the on-ramping. And so we're in a situation where we have a very committed candidate, and we have a lot of time for him. He's going to be, this fall, he's going to participate in our board meeting. He's going to participate in 2 5-year reviews. And so those will be excellent opportunities. Both will be excellent opportunities. So anyway, I'm just going to quickly go through. This is stuff that you guys already know. But one thing you might not have known is we have a new logo. Did you notice that? I noticed Phil put it out the other day that we have a new logo at Anam. And so we're kind of excited. I'm not sure if you could see the whole thing, but we have a new website. So when you go to the source of the Anam website, you're going to have to excuse me. I'm used to representing Source of Light, I hope I don't get too used to representing Anam other than informally, but anyway, that's the new logo. It was interesting, and Vernon might remember this. And in fact, there are some of you in the room here that I have pushed on this very topic, and that is, can you tell me what the mission and vision of your ministry is? And I won't say any names, but I had a hard time. Phil and I did a review recently. And we had a hard time to get some of the board members and some of the staff members to come up with a vision and mission statement of their organization. Well, it's tough to run and lead a ministry if your people don't understand what the target is, right? I mean, that'd be like going, now, maybe it sounds fun to you, but that's like, I see you can sign up for archery and riflery. That'd be like just going out and shooting a gun. I mean, archery I assume it, correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume there's going to be a target or something to shoot at. Otherwise you're just out there shooting a gun. Right? Vernon's going to act like he's setting it up and we're just going to aim for him. But you know what? We're aiming at a moving target that we don't even know the direction. And we just, like every man did what he saw was right in his own eyes, right? So anyway, when I first joined the board, I was trying to understand who Anam was. I was new to Source of Light, but I was also new to Anam. And I was trying to it was like nailing down Jello sometimes, because I look at all these ministries and all the different things they're doing, and then I realize, but I don't understand exactly why we exist. And so we saw, I think it's on this next slide, exists to assist member organizations operating with excellence, thereby maximizing their God-given ministry effectiveness and reaching the lost and making disciples. Excellent and clear, but hard to remember. And so I said to them, well, why don't we simplify it? And so if you don't remember anything else about Anam, we exist to assist. And that's really why Anam has been around all these decades. We exist to assist. And these are some of our core values. And this is exactly Doug's presentation from years ago that I just made look nicer. But these are some of the things that are important to us: accountable, connected, growing, and stretched. And I have a few other things. If you want to see it, you can actually have this PowerPoint, that'll talk about it. For those of you, I think almost pretty much everybody in the room already knows who Anam is. We have biblical foundation for all of these core values, and I don't have to. It's funny, sometimes I feel a little silly when you got to preach to people that are on the same page. So I don't need to justify this for this group. But a lot of times it's for groups of people who don't know anything about Anam. All right. So of course we have biblical foundation and accountability that we do regularly, the things like the 5-year review that are ways that we help people be accountable. We are connected. We connect each other with similar people that are similar interested. I can't remember, someone mentioned that, like we're glad that you're looking at us for ministry, but you might find a better fit at this other organization. And we know that because we're very closely, intimately related to each other. There isn't probably a week that goes by that I'm not interacting with another A&M member of some sort, on some level, whether it's a financial, thing that we're dealing with, talking through some ideas, maybe it's a ministry opportunity or need, maybe it's using each other's resources, which will be the next thing I talk about when I put my other hat on. But that's where we come together. We're connected, and we do this at these regional meetings, at the leadership forum. Phil has just started a new initiative, and that is being kind of a shepherd to the administrators and leading prayer and so forth. And then just this opportunity that we have to have personal relationships. In this room, there are people that get you better than almost anybody else will, particularly it really doesn't matter if you're an administrator or you're the director of operations. Two director of operations people understand each other, Mine has, my director of operations, the Source of Life director of operations, he's got his hands full with the president of his organization. He needs somebody to talk to. He needs a shoulder to cry on most days. I'm just kidding, that's me, right? Got that. But anyway, so connected, we're growing, we're trying to encourage each other how we can grow as an organization. We're trying to instill things like in the Elisha Initiative, where we're inspiring and encouraging younger leaders as they're starting to move up the ranks. I love seeing Dan and Ben and Gary, that's it. And Gary, I was going to say Jerry, but Gary, I don't know if you noticed, but they set the curve down a little bit in the age in this room. It's funny, when I was the kind of young guy coming to these things, like I'm a young guy, but then we got like guys like Vernon who set the age, curve pretty high. But anyway, it's great to see some of these younger people. Oh, you said it low? Well, that was 50 years ago. But anyway, growing, and we want to see this ministry. We're not now, I will tell you, it's okay if A&M is the size that it is. All right, what we want to do is we want to continue to provide resources. We want to continue to be a ministry that is here for the ministries. And so that's why we exist growing. We want to continue to, one of the things that's easy in all of our ministries to do is to become complacent. And you complacent yourself right out of a job. If you're not constantly being stretched. And I'm fairly confident one of the things that's happening right now in Sedine is with younger leadership being prepared to come in, they're being stretched themselves. It's not easy. It's not easy to have young ideas and different ideas, particularly, look, a lot of times in a ministry like Sedine, look, man, we just got to keep the doors open. And so we're just going to keep muddling through this, and I'm not saying I'm probably just overgeneralizing, but to have some new ideas and some fresh ideas that are coming into a ministry, that's what we're here for. We want to be challenging ministries to continue to grow and to be stretched. This is just quickly who we are right now with regards to the new organizations. We've got a couple of new ones in the last few years. We're looking at a few more. But this is who we are right now. This is what the cross-section of A&M looks like. And if you're not here, your organization isn't here yet. You should be. Because we're just the type of organization that you need to really be strengthened and encouraged and accountable. And so make sure you talk to one of the board members that's here. I think that's you, Phil. I think that's it. That's who we're in. That's a pretty good turnout for board members on the east side here. So thank you guys. I appreciate your time. feel free to stop by and ask me any questions if you have something, you know, you're just pressing